Chris Jericho's possible WWE return is the latest talk in town. You know, people I think that would go pretty hard, even if we do get some restrictions. A little bit of the prime. I hate myself. I'm sorry. You didn't need to hear all that.
Yeah, of course I would consider going back there.
And it seems like WWE might already be having some fun with these rumors. I almost stopped making this video because I thought I'm losing my mind. I was ready to put that tinfoil hat, but let me make that straight. I am not crazy.
I am not crazy.
I'll tell you all about it in a second. Also, Wrestlepalooza in Indianapolis officially got announced. I know a certain farmer who lives in Indianapolis.
I don't watch the show. Why would I watch the show?
And the PLE will also feature 2 major main events. Possible interesting storyline for MFT's My Funky Testicles is coming. ESPN Erases AEW and Roman Reigns Wants Del Rio back? Let's talk about it. People, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Greatness of Wrestling episode. Now, people, you know how I feel about Chris Jericho's possible WWE return. You can hear all about it in my previous Greatness of Wrestling episode. In a nutshell, I'm pretty excited about it. I grew up watching the guy. He was my favorite at one point. Someone who needs to be considered in one of the wrestling goats category a lot more. But that's just that. First of all, now even WrestleVote says there is a significant interest in WWE for Chris Jericho to return to the company after his AEW contract expires. One source expects a deal to be made between Jericho and WWE when the time comes. It's pretty obvious, and people, I don't really think Chris Jericho has anything to add to AEW. Let me explain. He already put the company on the map. The fans turned on him. You know, maybe for right reasons, I have no idea. Didn't really watch AEW lately for a couple of years now, probably.
Why would I watch the show?
But I know not many people are thrilled to see Chris Jericho back in AEW. So he makes that return. What does that change? The viewership ain't gonna increase because nobody likes him. That specific fan base doesn't give a shit about Chris Jericho. You know, it goes to show you AEW fan base, WWE fan base, very different. Will they still be plucking their pubes over Chris Jericho betraying the company? Absolutely. But that's just wrestling, that's just people, it is what it is. You can't change nothing. But I feel like even for Chris Jericho, it makes a lot more sense to go to the WWE. Finish the career where you started, probably make a lot more money, and actually do something exciting, get that Hall of Fame. I'm all for it.
I would have considered a return to WWE before things have changed. I mean, you'd be crazy not to consider it. Yeah, of course I would consider going back there.
Tinfoil hat? Yeah? Looking good? Okay, let me explain what the hell is happening. So basically, I was making a Raw review, I believe, at the time. So I clicked www.com to get those screenshots, right? I click on Raw, and you have a bunch of recent Raw moments. And then you have videos like Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor fall match. And then Roman Reigns versus Chris Jericho fall match. Like a day after the rumors started. And I wasn't ready to make a video about that because that's basically clickbait. You know, I was like, okay, maybe they are having fun with these rumors and trolling AEW, trying to get that reaction out of Tony. But I was like, nah, come on. It's just a coincidence, even though they don't really upload that many, you know, videos of current AEW wrestlers. Then I see this post on Facebook. I use Facebook to connect with friends and stuff like, you know, don't judge me.
I am not crazy.
Roman Reigns faces Chris Jericho for the right to compete in the WWE title Fatal 4-Way match the following week on Raw. Out of every video you could upload in this rich history of the WWE, you know what? 500 years it seems like, you decided to post a video with Chris Jericho. Out of everybody, not a Randy video, not a Cena video, not a Seth video, not a Punk video, Chris Jericho. Still, I was like, nah, no, come on. Like, it's goofy to make a video about this. It does seem like WWE are, you know, having fun with these rumors, but I was like, nah. Then they uploaded the video on WWE's Vault channel. They upload a lot of classic stuff, but all of this happened right after Chris Jericho's rumors started. So then I started to believe. But I was still like, maybe I'm wrong, people. Maybe I'm wrong. So I put the video aside. Remember I talked about this WWE.com Raw section? A day or two after they uploaded that Chris Jericho video randomly, they uploaded another one, full match, John Cena versus Chris Jericho. WWE title, you're fired match. Again, out of any video they could upload. You have a bunch of latest WWE stuff, and then there's 2 matches with Chris Jericho. Also, if you read the YouTube comments, they also get it. I mean, they must be trolling at this point. They posted 2 Chris Jericho matches in a row on WWE.com alone. Now, what that mean, Great One? What that mean? Well, the Great One will explain to you. It's either WWE preparing people for that return, because they kinda always do that anyway, sometimes a bit more subtle though. Here's something people need to realize: he's not gonna leave AEW till 2026. He still has a contract with AEW, so don't expect that shit anytime soon. I believe it might be right around a Royal Rumble. Or they're really literally just, having fun with these rumors, sticking it to AEW, which is hilarious, by the way. People, I only watch WWE, but I never really find the pleasure of WWE having pay-per-views the same night or anything like that. I don't get the pleasure because competition is good. I don't watch AEW because the television is not my type, but if AEW is around, it makes WWE better, the product that I sometimes enjoy. Also, Fightful claims WWE and Jericho are on good terms. Not that it really matters nowadays, in my opinion at least. I mean, CM Punk is back in the WWE, someone who really had a lot of problems, not only with Vince McMahon, but Triple H, probably Triple H especially, and they don't really care about that as long as you can make money. Also, you had Goldberg, who trashed WWE like months before his return, talking shit about Triple H, and he was back in the WWE. Bret Hart sometimes around, someone who really criticized Triple H and called him a 4 out of 10 wrestler, I believe. There's literally someone else I have in mind, and that was my biggest point, but I completely forgot. Whatever, you get the idea, as long as it makes money. I don't find Chris Jericho returning to WWE to be that shocking. And there are some older pictures of Jericho and Triple H. I don't think there is any real beef nowadays between the two. It's old shit, basically. We all know Triple H and his boys always try to hold back other talent. That's just a fact. Not that they care nowadays. So people, let me know in the comments below, are you excited for that Chris Jericho return? Just to show you how much of a big fan I am. Back in like 2000, I don't know, 13, 15, whatever, I used to watch every episode of his podcast. People, I just remembered my channel name was Mr. Y2J, which is so bad. And the current one I have is not better either, and that's the biggest mistake I've made in my career, but I think you got used to it, right? Can't change that now. People, Wrestlepalooza is going to happen on September 20th. Logo has that extreme vibe, which tells us something. It's going to have that ECW vibe, and probably some of the main events or matches in general are going to have some extreme shite, which is really exciting in my opinion. I love that. It's going to be on ESPN if you're from US and Netflix internationally. Glad to know that, because when they first announced it, they didn't mention Netflix at all. So if you're not an American, you'll be able to watch that on Netflix. I assume if you don't even have a WWE Netflix, you might be able to watch that on WWE Network, which is something I dearly miss. Speaking of Wrestlepalooza, WrestleVote says WWE went ahead with using the old ECW event name despite some negative pushback from higher-ups at Raw on Monday. So, okay, I appreciate that it's a premium live event. I love the idea because the whole concept gets me excited, even though it could be called Extreme Rules, really, when you actually think about it. But at the end of the day, I like the concept. The name is horrible. It's an indie show. It sounds like something that happens, like when you have WrestleMania, right? And people are advertising their shit because they know a lot of people are going to WrestleMania and they might visit your event. So, we're going to do Wrestlepalooza in a wrestling gym. Sounds like that. Really doesn't scream WWE name. On the other hand, that's, I guess, why I can appreciate it in this corporate world of the WWE, TKO, all that bullshit, which is a video I'm going to make. We have something different. I appreciate that. People, I know a certain farmer who lives in Indianapolis. That's why I'm excited too. Brock, Cena, extreme shite. Oh my god. Yes! According to Pro Wrestling Insider's Mike Johnson, Wrestlepalooza will have 2 main event level matches. Obviously John Cena and Brock Lesnar, and also Drew McIntyre versus Cody for the undisputed title, which is also a pretty exciting match. So when it comes to Brock and Cena, we all know it's one of the most anticipating matches in the WWE right now, whether you like it or not. It's gonna sell a lot of tickets, and I've heard the ticket prices are absolutely insane, people, so I hate the WWE sometimes. Not that it matters to me, I'm never going to the WWE show anyway. Cody versus Drew McIntyre. Excited about the match, even though I know the result. Obviously, Cody is going to retain unless something huge happens. Unless The Rock decides to show up once a year again. We don't know. At the end of the day, my biggest wish out of all of this is that one day One day, Drew McIntyre takes the championship from Cody. Cody is a babyface, he needs a good heel. Drew McIntyre is one of the best heels in the WWE, someone who earned that championship a long-ass time ago. I hate the fact that after the CM Punk vs. Drew McIntyre rivalry, he never got, how do I put this, rewarded for it in a way? Drew McIntyre is clearly one of these wrestlers who cares about championships, accomplishments, and not just about the money. The fact he didn't win the championship after this great rivalry is a bit of a sin, and definitely a crime. Bodyslam.net claims that WWE has been planning a feud between the Wyatt Six and MFTs, and it's expected to begin soon. So y'all know my opinion on MFTs, my funky testicles, my funny tummy, my future trousers. I don't like the faction. I think they have absolutely no aura. They jumped the shark with the whole Bloodline storyline. I don't give a damn. But people, maybe Wyatt Six could make it a bit more entertaining. One thing I do like about professional wrestling, in professional wrestling, is faction wars. Something that WWE been doing lately a lot. You know, a concept that was actually forgotten in the 2010s, I believe. When I was watching WWE when I was younger, I was like, holy shit, back in the day we used to get so many factions. We have none of that right now. Maybe that's why also the Shield worked out so perfectly. My thing is this. At least they're doing something interesting with the Wyatt Six. The tag team shit is nice, but I want a bigger storyline. ESPN Erases AEW section. If you click AEW, you get this, and people are mad. It's interesting to have a discussion. Does it make me feel a certain way? Not necessarily. From a business standpoint, I can kinda get that. You just made a deal with the WWE. Why would you cover their competition? Also, in a way, if we're treating it like sports, isn't that like, come on, shouldn't you cover all? But if we're making that point, they should also cover TNA, Ring of Honor, all of them, right? I think that should be expected in a way. It should be expected. They made a deal with the WWE, paid millions. Why would we cover their competition and promote them? I gotta tell you, man, when it comes to ESPN on the WWE, they're gonna have a lot of news shows and all these recaps and shit, and who honestly cares? I feel like there's nothing worse than corporate WWE podcast, corporate WWE pre-shows, post-shows, whatever it may be, because none of it is real. You're talking as if this shit is real, or just talking in very general terms, and you, oh, come on, give me the drama, give me the real shit. Let's talk about Del Rio. In a recent interview with Lucha Libre Online, Hugo Savinovich, I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly, well, he basically talked about Alberto Del Rio and claims he should be back in WWE. People like Roman Reigns want Del Rio back. He says Alberto deserves to come back because he's proven himself. He also said Undertaker is ready to use his creative mind to elevate Alberto's character. Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, the Samoans, Rey Mysterio, Undertaker, everybody's backing Del Rio. So, take that with a grain of salt. I have no idea. That seems random. Seems like Alberto is a very popular dude backstage. When it comes to his drama, I don't know about that shit, man. Come on, I didn't see any of it. I have no idea what happened. Honestly, I didn't even do enough research. I'm not gonna claim I know. Maybe the shit I would read make me go like, you know, fuck this guy. I have no idea. The thing is, I did like Del Rio. Again, air refreshener. I didn't fall. Why are you doing that? I didn't mind Del Rio in the WWE. I actually liked a few of his rivalries, moments. Like a solid 6 out of 10 wrestler, right? I kind of liked him anyway. At the same time, do I feel like... Okay, Chris Jericho going back to the WWE, I know it doesn't change the product, but at least it's interesting. He's one of the biggest stars in pro wrestling, one of the most entertaining characters. We know we would get something either really entertaining or funny. I'm excited, you know, one of the GOATs, coming back, finishing his career in the WWE. When it comes to Del Rio, he doesn't really, like, if he comes back, I'm not gonna complain. Whatever. Like, what's the point anymore? I'm getting tired of this shit, man. But if he comes back to the WWE, I don't really see anything for him. I don't really find it very exciting in either way. Not really excited about any rivalries. Don't really care about seeing him wrestle. Clearly the AAA crowd loves Del Rio, so why don't we use him? If we're gonna use Del Rio, use him in AAA and have him as that big star. Obviously he has a lot more to offer to AAA than the WWE. But of course, people, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, your boy The Great One. Peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.